Hi guys, this is Luetin, and today we're going to be looking at the September 4th patch notes. Now, whenever a patch is released, there is always a tidal wave of videos and opinion, everyone going, the patch is here, the patch is here. Well, yes, it's here. So I'm going to have a little look through it anyway, because it's kind of interesting to think about, and I look forward to talking and discussing and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, let's just go through it. I'm not doing this in a particularly formal way, I'm just looking at it. So, okay, first off, weapon balancing. They've adjusted some of the reload timers, but before anybody freaks out, it says that this is primarily a cosmetic change. We're only talking about a 0.1 second change, and it says for a few weapons though, the M416, F2000, FAMAS, KH2002, MK3A1, JNG, the MG36 and the QB88, the SVD, the Pashang, Scar H and the AN94, it should also improve the performance of the weapon. Yeah, well, anyway, you can read into that whatever you like. It says that a short and long reload time has been reduced for weapons like the Scar, AEK, F2000. I'm not going to read them all. But basically, they've made some changes to the reload timers. Whether or not it has any significant increase in the game, well, we'll know tomorrow. Damage output range adjustments. I will go through some of these. The UMP, they've increased the close range damage of the UMP, but reduced its damage over range. So it says the UMP now has a sweet spot in close quarters battles, but suffers when it's compared to, say, the PP2000 at long ranges. Now, the PP2000, they've increased the long range damage due to highlight its role as a mid-range low recoil PDW. So that's going to be interesting. People might want to try out the PP2000 after this patch, see how you actually get on with it. Okay, now we've got the M1911. Now, it says they basically increased the minimum damage to make it fit better with the Magnum and the M9 MP443. So you might want to try out the M1911, see how you actually get on with that one. The M93, this is quite a big change to the M93. Everyone has been using this gun, and for obvious reason. But what they've done is they've reduced the M93's damage and its range, so this is going to have a big impact on the M93. But what they have done is they have reduced its recoil to allow, it says, for a smoother burst action to counter its reduced damage. So basically you might have to pump a few more rounds out, but hopefully it might be a bit more better controlled. Okay, the 12G frag rounds, they've continued to adjust these, and it says that these are going to be doing their damage in a smaller area, but more consistently to apply the maximum possible damage. So a bit more an impact. Seems a kind of weird thing, because the 12G frag, it's actually designed as a suppressive device. So it seems kind of weird that they're making it have a more concentrated sort of damage area. Because surely that's just going to make it more and more like a standard shotgun round. The idea of it is it's an explosive round and it suppresses. So why not, if they're going to make all these changes to kind of do it down, why not just take it out of the game? Anyway, okay, they've slightly increased the damage of the AA gun against infantry. The AA was simply over-nerfed in a previous update, and it says the AA guns now also probably do damage to main battle tanks again, so that's good, I guess, all around. 12-gauge buckshot does close-range damage. It's been slightly increased, so maybe that's going to be a really hardcore one-hit kill weapon, but we'll have to see. But to be honest, if you take a shotgun round point-blank, it should be pretty damaging. Slightly reduced the range penalty for the suppressor on the Scar H. There's been a lot of weird little tweaks like this, but it's not, you can't really comment on it till you try it out in game, and you know, a lot of people are not big ones for using the suppressor anyway. I don't really use it on maps that are medium and long range because it's just such an inability. It'd be better to try it out for kind of close range weapons and so on and so on. Increased the bullet velocity for the coaxial HMG, making it easy to hit targets over longer ranges. That's quite a welcome one, and I'm sure tank gunners and stuff will be very happy about that. Increased the minimum range of the 40mm flechette and tightened the cone of fire for more consistent damage levels. Again, some quite good tweaks to the shotguns and stuff, but if you're a shotgun user, it's probably going to improve your play a lot. Whether people will be actually happy about that or not, I don't really know. Slightly reduced the range bonus added by the heavy barrel on 5.56, 5.45 and 6.5mm assault rifles. So again, they're tweaking the heavy barrel to make it less the choice you always want to take when you're on those ones. So again, we really need to see how much of an impact that has. And then we go into, basically, there's been a range of reductions of the range penalty on suppressors for a load of different guns. So basically, yeah, the suppressor is being changed around a little bit. So we'll see how much of an increase that really gives it, how much it does. Basically, I think what they're doing is they're toning down the heavy barrel a bit and they're improving the suppressor a little bit to bring them both slightly more in line with each other. So we'll see what that really does. The M5K, apparently the M5K is getting a small damage increase, so that'll be interesting as well, see what we can do with that. It says a select set of weapons have had their recoil adjusted based on joint community feedback and statistical analysis to provide greater balance in the weapon choices players make. Now it says that specifically the M16A3 and the M4A1 have increased recoil to make them less attractive in all situations. Now these guns basically, a lot of people just call them, sort of try-hard guns or whatever. Basically they just handle very well in all situations, which means that overall they come across as feeling a little bit overpowered, a little bit too good. So by increasing the recoil, it's just going to limit their viability in certain situations, and hopefully we'll see that it really does have a significant impact on people using those guns. It means that people are going to have to think a little bit more about what they actually want to do in the game. They're going to have to think, I actually need this gun or this gun, rather than just like, I'm going to take the M16 on every single map that I play. So hopefully we'll see enough of a change that it really does do something there. Okay, also it says that competing weapons like the SG553, G36 and M416 have also been improved to increase viable player choice in primary weapons. Well, I always thought those guns were kind of okay anyway, but a buff is welcome. SG553, horizontal recoil reduced to help make this weapon more controllable. That's going to be quite nice. MG36, vertical recoil reduced to make this weapon more controllable. I always thought that was the case because the MG36 for me, it's just got a little bit too much kick compared to the other guns, so that's going to be a nice one. M416 vertical, horizontal and first shot recoil have all been reduced to make this weapon clearly different from the M16A3. That's going to be really interesting, so let's see what happens there. The M16A3 recoil amount slightly increased, M4A1 increased, G36C vertical and first shot recoil amounts reduced, M16A4 and M4. These weapons have been adjusted for the increased recoil they now have. The burst version of these weapons give the player a reduction in horizontal recoil for greater control. So because they're burst fire weapons, hopefully when you do fire, those rounds are going to hit very, very accurately, and you'll be doing more damage overall and having a better time with those guns. Okay, miscellaneous weapon changes. FIM92 Igla now lock onto air vehicles at both lower altitudes and longer distances. That's going to be very interesting, along with some of the other air changes that have been made. Added burst fire to the M5K as an available fire mode. That's kind of interesting. I'll be interested to try that out, compare it against the full auto, see how that one actually handles. It could be quite a good change, especially with the increased damage with it. So that could be an interesting one to try at the M5K. Increase the bonuses provided by a number of bipods for the F2000, G3, M27, M416, Pasheng Type 88, FAMAS and MG36. We'll be very interested to see how that handles. Belt-fed machine guns are now more accurate when standing and firing while aiming. This affects M240, M249, Type 88, Pasheng and the LSAT. Kind of a small change. 44 Magnum, rate of fire reduced slightly to highlight this sidearms role as a slow firing heavy hitter and differentiate it from the MP412 Rex. I think that's a really good change, because I think the 44 Magnum was becoming again like the M93. It was getting a little bit too much airtime, and people were starting to go, yeah, this is the gun to go with. So nice to kind of bring that back in line. Removed burst fire from the L85 and added single shot to the L86, as is authentic for these weapons. Okay, fair enough. Slightly increased the radius for maximum damage of the 40mm LVG. While the overall damage level remains the same, the LVG will be lethal over a larger area. Interesting to see actually what that area is, whether this gun will actually become, well, I say gun, kit, will actually become usable, or whether it continues to be a irritating hit marker weapon. Reduced the aimed accuracy bonus of the M417 with a suppressor to balance it against other weapons in the game. Ha 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 ha. No longer will I have to walk around a corner and have this happen to me as someone empties an entire 417 clip at you, just random, and you're just like, oh, what's happening? Yeah. Bad luck, M417 suppressor noobs. Increase the aim accuracy bonus of the ACWR, LE6, LSW, LSA, MP5K and MTAR with a suppressor to balance with the other weapons in the game. Again, okay, fair enough. Weapon fixes. Underslung weapons on the AUG and Sky L now probably benefit from the hip accuracy bonus of an attached laser sight. Okay, so that's good. SOFLAM will no longer lock onto your own vehicle if deployed. That's kind of hilarious. And not immediately activated by the player. Scar L is fix the heavy barrel not increasing recoil when zoomed and standing. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. Corrected some incorrect descriptions of clip sizes and bullet types for weapons added in close quarters. Yeah. PKS is 7, blah blah blah. M417's foregrip was incorrectly reducing horizontal recoil by too large of an amount. It has been adjusted to balance with other foregrips. So again, a little tweak to the M417 that's going to make it a little bit harder for those spamming noobs to use it. The ACR foregrip, MG36, QBB95 and RBK extended magazines, as well as the RBK and SKS heavy barrel, are now able to be unlocked and equipped in the accessory screen, so a very minor little thing there. Fixed an issue with the incorrect damage for the M320 Buck when used with certain attachments, and the MK3A1 now uses flechette rounds instead of frag rounds in Gunmaster. Woo! Vehicle related tweaks and fixes. Removed flares from the gunner position in helicopters. With the right combination of unlocks, an attack helicopter could be effectively invulnerable to lock-on missiles. Removing the flares from the gunner balances the attack helicopter against ground fire. Now, this is a huge topic, and a lot of people want to talk about this one. I actually am probably going to be talking about this a little bit later on, so you'll be able to see this in a bit more detail. But basically, the long and short of it is, I think it's a perfectly valid, balanced choice. A lot of the other vehicles only have one defense. It seems strange that this helicopter has always had two, and it is very overpowered, to be honest. I mean, if you have a gunner and a pilot who even half know what they're doing. I know people will say, oh, but you have to have really good timing and you have to have really good communication and therefore it stacks up and it's allowed. But to be honest, that's a load of crap. It's just, it is too much. And the other vehicles, the other helicopters as well, they don't have this, and it balances it up with the other things. So I'm totally fine with it. And, you know, if you're working well as a team, the firepower of the helicopter completely balances up with that fact. You should be able to eliminate targets on the ground if you've got a very good gunner, and you know, you should be able to still, if you've got a skilled pilot, avoid those things. So hopefully I think this will bring it back in line, and it'll stop those rounds where you have a helicopter just continually dominating and you can do nothing about it. Okay, air radar now shows friendly vehicles as well. Helicopter weapons now can destroy equipment with splash damage. That's going to be a lifesaver for many people. Again, no more irritating SOFLAM sitting on top of a hill and you empty an entire pod of rockets and it does nothing to it. So that's really, really good. Laser designator unlock on the scout helicopters has been changed from a pilot upgrade to a new stance in the co-pilot seat, position 4. Like the CITV turret on the main battle tanks, the scout helicopter's laser designator is permanently available to players who have received the unlock. That's a very interesting change, and it means that you no longer can have those single pilots flying around SOFLAMing and basically shooting down other helicopters very, very quickly. So an interesting change there, but again, with a bit of teamwork, it's still going to be very powerful. Repair tool damage against vehicles is lowered by 10%. That's probably good because I think it sometimes was a little bit high. You know, your tank would be going down faster than it would from, you know, I don't know, machine gun fire. That's what it felt like. So I think it's good to reduce that down a bit. Change the reload behavior on tank. Tank destroyer cannon weapons to prevent being able to fire 2 shots from different weapons quickly run right after another. This was actually my tactic and it's very, very powerful. So I actually think it's very fair to bring that in because it was a bit powerful. Firing weapons can now be seen from the vehicle passenger seats where you are allowed to fire your own weapons. Fair enough. Fix the hit indicator, showing when entering a vehicle after previously shooting a soldier. Again, these are all minor, just tweaks. Increase the damage helicopter and jet rockets do to helicopters, jets and infantry. Increase the damage helicopter gunners and IFVs do to helicopters and jets. And fix jets not getting top attack damage bonuses on laser designated targets. So again, a few damage changes there. Really need to see it in game before we can make any proper sort of conclusions on that. Okay, so that is all the most important weapon and vehicle changes. The rest of it is all UI and bug fixes and stuff like that. So there are some very, very interesting changes, mainly to some of the gun tweaks and some of the very primary guns that people have been using. It seems that in this patch what they've really tried to do is balance things up, bring them back in line and make the whole game a bit more user-friendly for everyone. But as with all these things, as soon as you shut down one little loophole, people are going to open up another one. So it's going to be interesting to see how these changes are. Also, whenever you see these changes, you're never sure how severe they're going to be. Is this going to completely break some things and make them unusable, or is it going to balance things up and make the whole game a lot more enjoyable? We'll have to see. But it does sound very interesting, and I think there's going to be a lot of comment people have to make on this. I've actually got a lot more commentary on this coming up later on, so stay tuned for that one. Thanks for watching and see some more videos. Remember, okay, this week is Armored Kill Week, and tomorrow I'll be running my server all the day on Armored Kill. I'll be playing on it all day, and I also will be recording, posting raw footage. Then I'm going to be doing some breakdowns of the maps and so on and so on. So join me for that. Thanks for watching and see you around.